The arrogant trespass, the Zephyrian Empire stretched across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy, encompassing over 1,200 star systems and countless species brought under its magnificent rule. Emperor Kaldros the Eternal sat upon his crystalline throne, his 6 arms draped with ceremonial chains that clinked softly as he moved. His compound eyes, each capable of seeing in different spectrums, surveyed the vast holographic map floating before him. There, at the edge of conquered space, lay an anomaly that had troubled him for decades. A single star system marked in deep crimson, labeled simply as Terran Exclusion Zone. The Emperor's primary advisor, a serpentine being named Vex, slithered forward with data tablets clutched in his coils. The humans have maintained their isolation for 73 standard cycles, Your Radiance. Every probe we send stops functioning at exactly the same distance from their system. Every ship that approaches receives the same transmission in over 15,000 languages, including dead tongues from civilizations that fell before recorded history began. The message never varies. Terran Space is closed. No entry permitted. This is not a negotiation. Turn back while you still can. Kaldros drummed his fingers against the armrest of his throne, creating a rhythm that echoed through the vast chamber. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered the warrior clans of Proxima, subdued the hive minds of the cluster nebula, and even brought the ancient machine intelligences to heel. Yet here was a single species confined to one unremarkable star system that dared to declare themselves off-limits. The Emperor's pride burned like a supernova at the thought. Admiral Thessa of the 7th Armada stood at attention, her scaled armor reflecting the chamber's ethereal light. She had served the Empire for 2 centuries, leading campaigns that had added dozens of systems to their domain. Your Radiance, she began carefully, measuring each word. The humans have never shown aggression beyond their borders. They simply wish to be left alone. Perhaps there is wisdom in respecting their desire for isolation. The galaxy is vast, and we have countless other directions for expansion. The Emperor's laughter filled the chamber, a sound like grinding metal that made even the battle-hardened admiral flinch. Respect, we are the Zephyrian Empire. We do not respect the wishes of lesser species. We enlighten them with our rule. We bring order to chaos. If these humans possess technology that can enforce such isolation, then it belongs in our hands. If they do not, then their arrogance must be punished as an example to others who might consider defying us. Vex uncoiled slightly, his forked tongue tasting the air nervously. Your Radiance, our intelligence suggests the humans achieved faster-than-light travel only recently by galactic standards. They are a young species, perhaps no more than 300,000 years old. Their isolation began shortly after their first contact with the Galactic Council, which they abandoned after only 5 meetings. They claimed the bureaucracy was, and I quote, more painful than a root canal performed by a blindfolded dentist using a rusty spoon. The Emperor rose from his throne, his impressive height causing shadows to dance across the walls. Their insolence knows no bounds. Admiral Thessa, you will take the 7th Armada to the edge of their exclusion zone. You will broadcast our demands for immediate submission to Imperial authority. If they refuse, you will breach their space and bring their leaders before me in chains. Let the galaxy see what happens to those who deny the Empire's supremacy. Thessa bowed deeply, though doubt gnawed at her mind. As your Radiance commands. However, I must note that no ship has ever returned from beyond the exclusion boundary. We have no intelligence about their actual defensive capabilities. Perhaps a smaller reconnaissance force would be more prudent? The Emperor's eyes flared with an inner fire that made the temperature in the room seem to drop. Are you questioning my orders, Admiral? Or has fear of these isolated primitives affected your judgment? Take the entire Armada, 1,000 ships, 50 million warriors, and our most advanced weapons. Show these humans the price of their arrogance. The 7th Armada assembled at the staging, 0.3 light-years from the Terran Exclusion Zone. The fleet was a sight to behold, massive dreadnoughts, bristling with plasma cannons, sleek destroyers capable of devastating precision strikes, carriers filled with fighter squadrons, and support vessels carrying enough firepower to crack small moons. Admiral Thessa stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Sovereign's Wrath, watching as her fleet formed into attack formation. Commander Rexa, her second-in-command, approached with updated sensor data. Admiral, we're detecting an unusual energy signature along the exclusion boundary. It appears to be some kind of field, but our instruments cannot determine its nature or purpose. The boundary itself seems to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Our science division is baffled. Tessa studied the readings, her tactical mind trying to make sense of the impossible data. The humans had somehow created a barrier that shouldn't exist according to known physics. As they approached the boundary, transmissions began flooding their communication systems. The messages came in every conceivable format: audio, visual, mathematical equations, interpretive colors, even emotional wavelengths that somehow conveyed meaning directly to the consciousness. All carried the same warning: you are approaching Terran Space. This area is closed for the safety of all parties. We strongly encourage you to reconsider your current course. This is not a threat but a sincere request for your own well-being. Please turn back. The Emperor's voice crackled over the quantum communicator, his impatience evident. Proceed, Admiral. Show these humans that their warnings mean nothing to the might of the Empire. Tessa took a deep breath and gave the order that would change everything. All ships advanced to the exclusion boundary. Weapons hot, shields at maximum. Prepare for hostile contact. The 1,000 ships of the 7th Armada surged forward like a metal tsunami, their engines lighting up the void with brilliant streams of energy. They crossed the boundary at precisely 1432 Galactic Standard Time. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every single ship in the Armada simply stopped. Not damaged, not destroyed, but frozen in space as if time itself had paused. Admiral Tessa tried to give orders but found she could speak and move normally, while her ship remained completely immobilized. The view screen flickered to life, showing not a military command center or an imposing leader, but what appeared to be a modest living room on Earth. An elderly human male sat in a comfortable chair, wearing something called a cardigan and sipping from a mug that said, "World's okayest grandpa." He looked tired but kindly, like someone who had seen too much but still maintained hope for better days. "Hello there," he said with a gentle smile. "I'm Marcus Chen, current rotation supervisor for the Terran Border Management Department. I see you've decided to ignore our warnings. That's unfortunate but not unexpected. Your empire isn't the first to assume our isolation comes from weakness rather than choice." The lesson learned Admiral Tessa found her voice, though the situation felt surreal beyond measure. "What have you done to our ships? How is this possible? We detected no weapons fire, no energy discharge. Our shields are still at full power, yet we cannot move." Marcus adjusted his glasses and took another sip from his mug. "Oh, your ships are fine, Admiral. We've simply placed them in what we call a temporal bubble. You exist slightly outside the normal flow of space-time right now. Think of it as being paused while the universe continues playing around you. Don't worry, it's completely safe. We've had plenty of practice over the years." The Emperor's image appeared on a secondary screen, his fury palpable even across the vast distance. "Release my fleet immediately, human. You dare to assault the Zephyrian Empire? We will reduce your planet to ash for this insult." Marcus seemed genuinely puzzled by the outburst. "Assault? Oh no, Your Majesty, you've got it backwards. You entered our space against explicit warnings. We're simply preventing you from hurting yourselves. You see, humanity made a collective decision about 80 years ago. We were tired of the endless conflicts, the political maneuvering, the constant struggle for resources and territory that defines galactic civilization." He stood up, and the view expanded to show he was in what looked like a space station orbiting Earth. Behind him, through a large window, the blue marble of humanity's homeworld spun peacefully. We looked at the galaxy and saw the same patterns repeating endlessly: empires rising and falling, species conquering and being conquered, an eternal cycle of violence dressed up as progress. So we decided to opt out entirely. We developed technologies that would allow us to be completely self-sufficient and absolutely defended, then politely asked everyone to leave us alone. Vex's voice came through the communication system, fascinated despite the situation. But the energy requirements for such technology would be astronomical. How could a single star system generate enough power to stop an entire armada? Marcus chuckled warmly. That's the beauty of thinking differently. You're still thinking in terms of power and force. We're not stopping you with strength. We're simply convincing the universe that you've already stopped. Reality is far more flexible than most species realize. Humans have always been good at thinking outside the box. Probably because we spent most of our evolution trying to survive despite being relatively weak and defenseless. Admiral Tessa watched as her tactical displays showed something incredible. The entire Sol system was surrounded by layers upon layers of impossible defenses. Satellites that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously, moon bases that could manipulate fundamental forces, orbital platforms that projected fields affecting probability itself, and at the center of it all, Earth, glowing with an energy signature that suggested the entire planet had been transformed into something beyond conventional understanding. Marcus continued his explanation, his tone remaining conversational and friendly. You see, when humanity achieved faster-than-light travel, we were so excited to meet other species, to join the galactic community. But what we found was disappointing. The same conflicts we'd struggled with on Earth, just on a larger scale. Wars over resources, ideological differences, racial supremacy, religious disputes. We realized that joining galactic civilization meant becoming part of these endless conflicts. So we chose a different path. The Emperor's rage had transformed into something closer to bewilderment. You cannot simply withdraw from galactic society. It's not possible. Marcus smiled sadly. With respect, Your Majesty, we just did. We developed technologies that ensure complete self-sufficiency. We can create any element from quantum foam, grow food that exists partially in other dimensions to maximize nutritional density, generate infinite energy from pocket universes we create and collapse in controlled cycles. We don't need trade, we don't need expansion, and we certainly don't need conquest. Commander Rexa spoke up from her frozen position at her station. But what about exploration? The desire to see new worlds, meet new species, expand knowledge. Surely isolation cannot satisfy such drives. Marcus nodded appreciatively at the question. An excellent point, Commander. We explore inward now. Virtual realities indistinguishable from the real thing. Mental landscapes that push the boundaries of imagination. Artistic expressions that would take lifetimes to fully appreciate. We've created infinite worlds within our single system. Every human can live 1,000 lives, explore countless realities, all without stepping on anyone else's toes or claiming someone else's home. The view shifted to show other humans going about their daily lives on Earth and throughout the Sol system. They looked happy, relaxed, creative. There were no visible weapons, no military uniforms, no signs of the paranoid defensiveness one might expect from an isolated species. These people had truly found peace. But more than that, Thessa realized with a chill, they had found a way to enforce it absolutely. Marcus returned to his chair, looking directly at the camera. Now Emperor Kaldros, Admiral Thessa, and all members of the 7th Armada. Here's what happens next. We're going to return you to Zephyrian space. Your navigation systems will be permanently unable to plot courses to Sol system. Any future attempt to enter our space will result in the same response. But we're not cruel. We won't harm you or seeking revenge for this attempted invasion. We simply want to be left alone. The Emperor, his pride warring with growing fear, demanded answers. You cannot simply erase the knowledge of your location from the entire Empire. We have star charts, recorded coordinates, millions who know of Earth's location. Marcus's expression grew serious for the first time. Actually, we can. In approximately 10 minutes, every being in your empire, except for you, Emperor Kaldros, will forget that humanity exists. Star charts will show empty space where Sol system should be. Historical records will edit themselves. Conversations about humans will be forgotten mid-sentence. The only exception will be you, Emperor. You'll remember everything, but no one will be able to hear you when you speak of it. Why? Why leave me with this knowledge if no one will believe me? The Emperor's voice had lost its commanding tone, replaced by something approaching genuine confusion. Marcus's expression softened with sympathy. Because someone needs to remember why your empire never expands in this direction. You'll try to warn your successors, but they won't understand. You'll have charts made, but they'll show nothing. You'll bring fleets here, but they'll see empty space. Consider it a kindness, Your Majesty. Without you remembering, your empire might keep losing fleets to something they can't understand. This way at least one person knows the truth. Admiral Thessa felt a strange sensation, like memories trying to slip away from her grasp. She fought to hold on to them, but it was like trying to hold water in her fingers. What are we doing out here? She heard herself say, confused. This is empty space. Why did we bring the entire armada to empty space? Around her, the bridge crew were asking similar questions, checking their instruments with puzzled expressions. Only on the Emperor's screen did Marcus remain visible, speaking directly to Kaldros. The burden of knowledge can be heavy, Emperor. You'll spend the rest of your life knowing that humanity exists, that we chose isolation over domination, peace over power. You'll know that a single species managed to opt out of the game you've spent millennia playing. Perhaps that knowledge will gnaw at you, or perhaps in time you'll understand why we made our choice. The screen flickered one last time, showing Earth in all its blue-green glory. Marcus's final words were gentle but firm. Humanity wishes your empire well, Emperor Keldros. We hope you find whatever it is you're searching for in your conquests, but you won't find it here. Our doors are closed and they will remain so. Not from fear, not from weakness, but from choice. Sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when to stop playing the game. The 7th Armada found itself back in Zephyrian space, 3 light-years from where they thought they had started. The crews were confused about their mission parameters. The officers couldn't explain why they had mobilized such a massive force, and all records of the deployment showed only standard patrol duties. Only Emperor Keldros sat on his throne, staring at the star chart where he alone could see the red zone marking Terran Space. He tried to tell Vex, but the words wouldn't form in a way the advisor could understand. He ordered new charts drawn, but the cartographers saw only empty space. He commanded expeditions, but the navigators couldn't find the coordinates. The Terran system had become a ghost that only he could see. A reminder that somewhere in the galaxy, a species had found a different answer to the eternal question of survival. Years passed, then decades. Emperor Keldros expanded his empire in every direction except one. When asked why they never explored that particular region of space, he could only say it felt wrong, though he alone knew the truth. Sometimes, late in his throne room, he would stare at that empty spot on the map and wonder if the humans were happy in their isolation. He wondered if they ever looked out at the galaxy and felt tempted to rejoin it, or if they had truly found something better. On Earth, Marcus Chen finished his shift at the Border Management Department and headed home to tend his garden. The tomatoes were coming in nicely this year, genetically modified to exist partially in a dimension where sunlight was more nourishing. His granddaughter was coming to visit tomorrow, excited to show him her new art project, a sculpture that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously. Life was quiet, peaceful, and exactly as humanity had chosen it to be. The galaxy spun on with its wars and conquests, its rising and falling empires, its endless cycle of conflict and brief peace. And in one small corner, carefully hidden from view, humanity tended their gardens, created their art, loved their families, and lived lives untroubled by the chaos beyond their borders. They had learned the ultimate lesson that power wasn't about what you could take, but what you could choose to leave behind. The warning beacons continued their eternal broadcast into the void, though fewer ships came to hear them now. Word had spread in ways that bypassed conscious memory, a feeling, an instinct, a subtle aversion to that particular region of space. The galaxy had learned to leave Earth alone even if it couldn't remember why. And in his throne room, Emperor Keldros sat with his burden of knowledge, the only being in his empire who knew that somewhere among the stars, humanity had won the ultimate victory by refusing to play at all.